three. Remember when you told me that I should take it slow, but I can't stay. The wind is calling my name. I'm dancing on the edge again. This time I'm not looking back, babe.
Welcome to my channel and to the 5th episode of my summer knitting capsule wardrobe series. I am so excited to be introducing this tee that I'll be knitting for this episode in particular. It is a tee that I've been meaning to make since February, I believe, when the designer of this pattern teased the release of this tee on her Instagram, and I'm so excited that in this video I'll finally be able to knit this tee. Of course, one thing that I have to address is that the background is definitely not my usual background. I'm actually currently in Dolomites in Italy, and I thought I'd make full use of the beautiful view from my hotel to film the intro of this episode with you guys as well. I'm just so in love with the view over here. I find that the view here is absolutely beautiful and it's just amazing so far. I just love the views. I love the hikes. Today I hiked to Lake Sorapis. Were spectacular. The hike, not for the faint-hearted. It was so difficult. It was just really difficult, but the view was totally worth it. So that's all I have for this view. It's beautiful. And before we start on this video proper, I just want to talk about this darjeeling blouse that I'm currently wearing. You can see it over here. She looks absolutely beautiful. I actually took her along on my hike today because I wanted to get some beautiful photos with this darjeeling blouse as well. And this garment was featured in the 4th episode of my summer knitting capsule wardrobe series, and it's the 6th garment, I believe, of this series as well. And I just want to talk a little bit about how it has been going so far. Firstly, I believe this is one of my favorite garments of the series so far. I just absolutely love the wear. I just think it is absolutely beautiful, and you can pair it with so many different things. I am not usually someone who wears v-necks, but I find that this v-neck is not long enough that it is too refilling, and I do not feel too uncomfortable wearing this. And I think this is such a beautiful t-shirt. I'm in love with the buttons, as you guys saw in the previous video as well, and these details over here are just to die for as well. I just find this t-shirt amazing, and if I just stand up and show it to you guys, it is at a perfect length. If I were to raise up my hands, it just shows a little bit but not too much. So I find that this garment is knit to a perfect length. It is the cropped version. The yarn just super comfortable. It is the Knitting for Olive cotton merino yarn, so nothing too surprising there. It has been the yarn of choice that I've been using for the last 3 episodes. Today's episode will be different though. And yeah, that's all I have to share about this darjeeling blouse. And so let's move on to the tee that I'll be knitting in this episode. So this is the pippa tee, and it is a pattern by Marie on Instagram. And when I first saw this pattern, I was immediately attracted to the buttons that are on the side of the blouse, and I find that is such an interesting addition to an otherwise quite simple looking tee. I find that this tee is just a very cute kind of baby tee. This is a garment that is knit top down. You first start off with the back panel, cast on the stitches to the increases until you reach the underarms, then you cast on stitches for the front panel, and then afterwards you join it around, and then split when you reach the button band area, and then afterwards when you're done you just cast on extra stitches to knit the collar for the neck as well as the button band on the side. So I found that this pattern is pretty easy to follow. I love the cap sleeves look as well, so that's just something that drew my eye to this design and to this pattern. This is one of the first garments where I am filming the intro, and I have not actually finished knitting the garment, so I can talk about it a little bit with you guys. I just started yesterday actually, so this is day 2 of me knitting this garment, and for day 1 I actually did quite a bit of knitting. I am actually done with the back panel, it looks something like that right now. Something really simple. It looks like a rectangle except for when I do the increases at this point over here. Now I have custom stitches and I'm knitting the front panel. Of course, I have not done very much for the front panel, but this is what I've gotten done so far. And yeah, I think it's looking really nice so far. A little bit about the yarn. I'm knitting with drops for linen, so it is a cotton linen blend. The exact percentage I actually can't recall right now, but I think it's something like 47% linen, something like that. I don't know, but the exact percentage is somewhere over here. This is my first time working with this yarn. I use this yarn because it is the suggested yarn for this pattern, so I'm excited to try it and see how it looks like. So yeah, I'm really excited. And it's also, of course, a light grey color. I don't normally knit with light grey. I know my twist loop top was kind of light grey, but not really as well. I find that it has quite a bit of a bluish hue to it. So this is like a really nice warm grey color. So super beautiful. I started knitting yesterday. Yesterday was day one and I didn't do much filming because I literally just came out from a long plane ride and I wasn't looking too good, so I didn't want to film myself knitting in that state. And I actually knit for I think 3 or 4 hours because there was a lot of time. There was quite a long drive from Milan to the Dolomites and it was raining quite a little bit as well, so I had a bit more time to knit because of a bit of a slower drive. And yeah, it's been super fun so far. I hope to be able to do more knitting. I mean, I don't expect to finish knitting this top by the end of this trip, but I do hope that I will at least get to finishing in the round, which I think is not too much to ask for. I think our days are ending quite early because we are doing early hikes and then we're coming back home and then doing nothing for the rest of the night. Currently it is almost 8 o'clock and this is how it looks like. It's still bright out and I love that. And I think that's all I have to say with regard to this t-shirt. I'm going to continue knitting the front panel. I'll just knit out here because the view is too perfect. It's just amazing. Now, one thing I forgot to add on is that I didn't talk about my gauge swatch for this. So I actually did my gauge swatch. It is back home. Of course, I didn't bring it with me, but I was on gauge for this pattern. So that was 20 stitches. And this yarn is actually a really thick yarn. The recommended needle size by the yarn supplier is actually 5mm. I'm using 4mm for this pattern, but because it is like a heavy DK, almost worsted weight kind of yarn, I do expect this project will go by pretty quickly as well. So I took quite a few yarn balls with me. Let me show you guys my whole packing situation actually. Alright, so sorry this video seems to be all over the place, but I just wanted to show you guys how I pack my knitting supplies when I go overseas. So I pack it in this bag that I got from Burberry, and I think that is super perfect for keeping my little items with me. So I have some extra yarn in here. I still have 2 more balls of yarn underneath, but I love that in my luggage. So this is just how they look like. This yarn, and then I have a pair of scissors, some I did not actually bring my shorties. No, I actually bought 1 pair of shorties that are 3mm because I do foresee picking up some crochet hooks and some rubber cords. Day 3 in cime, and this is how it looks like right now. So it is 6 degrees and it is super cold, and the views are amazing. sun is setting real soon, so I just wanted to come over here and show you guys my progress for today. Sorry that everything is really messy, I just took it out of my bag, but I managed to knit for a total of 1 hour today, and this is my progress so far. This is the back panel of my tee, and I think I am almost done. I have to check later, but I think I am at the point where I can start doing the increases for the back panel. The sun is setting, and this is how the view looks like right now. If I can just focus, yeah, it's so really cloudy. So yeah, that was my progress for today. Hello friends, I'm back, and it is day 4 of me knitting the Pippa tee by Marie, as well as the 4th day of me bay in the Dolomites, and I have been enjoying my time here so far. Before I move on to that, let me just show you guys what I'm wearing. This is the tee number 1, the white version that I just finished knitting 2 to 3 days prior to my flight. Finished knitting it, got it off the needles and blocked it all prior to taking my flight, and I weaved in my ends on the flight itself, and that was just cutting it really close. And I've actually been enjoying my time in the Dolomites so far, with good reason. The views here are spectacular. The lakes here are so blue, the mountains here are so nice, and the sun is just amazing. Today was really hot though, so I look really red. That's the reason why I got a little bit burnt by the sun today. But the last few hikes were really great, but super tiring. I went to Cadini as well as cime yesterday, and today I went to lago braies and then another hike somewhere else as well, and they were all super difficult. The inclines here are so steep, I'm not used to it. As a knitter, I usually spend most of my time in bed knitting, watching my Netflix and drinking tea, so suddenly having so many back-to-back hikes, it is quite tiring, and it is taking quite a toll on my body. My legs are aching right now. I can barely feel them. But yeah, let me show you guys my progress on my tee so far. So for some context, I managed to knit for maybe 2 hours yesterday and today in total, maybe a bit more than that. And this is what I got done. So this is the back, and this is the front. I have yet to seam the ends together, but I want to seam the front and the back before I finish the body, because I want to be able to check my length properly. But in the car, I just want to do that. I'll probably get a bit of motion sickness, but I have done a few rounds. Oh my gosh, my stitches just went off my needles as per usual. Okay, I'm back, but I managed to do quite a few rounds of stockinette over here, and I've also reached the point where I can start doing some waist shaping, so some decreases every round until I'm done with the length. After I'm done with the decreases for the waist shaping, I can split for the ribbing for the sides of the body. And yeah, I think I'm making super good progress, and this top has been flying by so quickly. I must say though, this yarn, not the best to work with so far. I find that it is super splitty, and this is my 3rd ball of yarn that I've been using. I think the first 2 balls of yarn had one gigantic knot in them. The first ball of yarn had one, the second ball of yarn also had one. It was a huge gigantic knot that I could not knit at first. I had to cut it, and then as a result I have way more ends to weave in than necessary, so yeah, it's not been fun. The drop spell had no such knots, so I'm not sure why the drop spell linen is causing so many problems, but that's all for this yarn. Other than that, I don't think I have much else to share. This is also the last time I'll be filming with this background, because I'll be moving to a new location tomorrow. As a result, I have much more time to get my knitting done, but yeah, we have to say bye to this view, and then I will film in the new location. So that is my update for day 4. location, and I just want to film this really quick because I'm right next to the street and there are a lot of people around. It's kind of embarrassing, but I just wanted to share an update with you guys because we did a lot of driving around today to the new location. Hence we didn't do too much today, but I got a lot of knitting done. So this is how much I have gotten done today. I think it's super significant, and I have quite a lot of the body done. I also split for the button band over here. So this area is where the button band is gonna be at, and I think I just have a few more rounds to go, like maybe 7 rounds to go before I can finally change to knitting in the big. So that's all I have to do for this tee before I can pick up stitches for the sleeves as well as the collar. So super exciting, and this background definitely cannot compare to the previous location, but we may do. So yeah, that's all the updates I have for day 5. Day 6, I'm knitting the pippa tee and also alpe in the Dolomites, and it's currently 4 AM. So it has been a couple of hours and I have hiked up to Seceda. However, it is currently all covered by fog. So I am going to make use of this time to knit a little bit. And I only have a few rounds to go before I can start doing the increases for this tee. So I'm hoping to finish that today so that I can hopefully get started on my increases, which is most likely possible. It is so cold up here. I had to change my sweater, and I'm knitting so slowly because my hands are so cold, so I can't knit too quickly. But since I'm wearing the sweater, I just want to show you guys how it looks like. This is the furry sweater by Milan knitwear, and this is how it looks like right now. This is made out of drops Nepal, and this is how it looks. I love the length of the turtleneck, but the sleeves, it's way too short. So I will try to reblock it when I go back home. I wish it was like here to this point. Currently it's like maybe 3 cm or so. So but all in all, quite like this sweater. If not for the fact that the raglan sleeves are so deep, like I don't know why it is so deep, but when I wear my backpack it cinches up and then my sleeve becomes like that. So yeah, I will have to make it much longer than what it is right now. I'm hoping blocking will solve the issue, but if it doesn't, I may have to unravel all of this and then I will just add on like maybe 6 more rows of color work. I'm thinking, yeah, something like that. Anyway, that's how it looks like. And it's super quiet here. There's literally no one else around. Do you hear that? That's so quiet. Anyway, back to knitting. I will continue knitting later, but for now the fog has cleared and I can see Seceda. She looks beautiful. Let me show you guys. Well, it's still clearing, but it is much better than before for sure. The increases for the bottom. This is day 6. Okay, I'm going to make this quick because it is super hot out, but I just wanted to show you guys my try on for the top so far. So this is where I am at with the top. I have seamed the top part, the sleeves together, and I've knitted to this length. So like somewhere on here, there's much more to go. I decided to do a try on because the instructions were looking a little bit suspicious, like the top would turn out way too long for me, so I decided to try it on halfway through. I think what I'm gonna do now is to pick up stitches for the neck as well as the sleeves, because I know it's cinch up the top a little bit more, and then I'll have a clearer idea of how long more to knit the length for. But other than that, that's all my progress for today, and yeah, I'm going to hide away from the sun right now. Let's go. Okay, I don't think I'll be filming too much today because I woke up at 2:45 a.m. today to catch the sunrise at alpe siusi. Of course, the photos were really great and the view was just amazing, but I'm super tired right now. I don't even think I'll be knitting too much today, and I didn't even bother taking out my camera to film this because I am so tired. But let me show you guys my progress. I only have one hand, so it's a little bit hard to show you guys, but I finished the neck. I finished the collar for the pippa tee, and honestly not the neatest bind off, not even neat. It was my first time doing a tubular bind off for 2x2 rib stitch, so I wasn't too sure with the tensioning and everything, and so yeah, it took me a while to get the hang of it. So half of it's a bit wonky looking. Thank God it is at the back, so the back kind of looks like that. Yeah, I don't think it's too obvious. Kind of looks like that. Yeah, so it's a bit loose at certain areas, and I'm just hoping it will block out well, but I really don't think it will block out all that much, and so I'm just gonna have to live with it. Or I'm thinking maybe after I block it, if it's still not good, I can always either redo the bind off or add an elastic, which I think I will do the latter, because I do think this garment will stretch quite a bit. Given that it is a cotton linen blend, I do believe it will stretch out a lot, so adding an elastic might help. So yeah, that's my update for today. Day 7. Day 6. 1, 2, 3. Day 7. Okay, so it's day 8 of knitting the pippa tee and of being in dolomites, and this is how much I've gotten done. I managed to finish the sleeves yesterday, and also the collar and the body. And I think I've reached a point where I can change to the ribbing. However, I think I made a mistake and I didn't bring a long enough 3mm needles, so I can't really do that right now. So instead, I'm going to weave in all of these ends today. binding off for the ribbing over here. Looks quite neat. And I'm going to start picking up stitches for the side for the button band area. Yeah. Okay, so an update. We are going to Lake Como today, and I didn't film much yesterday, so I'll show you guys the update for the pippa tea later today. Hello friends, it's my last night in Milan, so I thought that it would be a good time as ever for me to come back with some updates for what I did for my pippa tea this whole trip, as well as like what I did today. Today we went to Lake Como and we did some last minute shopping around the Duomo in Milan, and I want to show you guys what I got from those areas. And before we get into all of that, let me just show you guys my pippa tea. I can't believe I did so much for this pippa tea. Honestly, look at it. It's just so much that was done. Essentially I finished the whole top except for sewing in my buttons. So I've actually done the buttonholes as well, if you can see over here, and then I've seamed them as well. I seamed them yesterday. I actually didn't do anything today. But let me just show you guys my whole tea. Of course, I have yet to weave in my ends, but who is surprised? I'm planning to do that on the plane if I, because in my head, if I'm stuck on a plane with nowhere to go and nothing to do except to weave in all of these ends, chances are I will probably do it. So I'll just bring it along with me, and because I'm using a plastic needle to weave in my ends, there is no way that it will get confiscated. So I do like to weave in my ends on a plane. So yeah, this is my pippa tea for you guys. I will talk a little bit more about it after I go back home and block it and wear it for you guys, and I'll just talk a little bit about the whole process doing it. Although I did film a lot more of the process this time around as compared to the rest of my summer capsule garments, in my opinion at least. So yeah, I'll just talk a little bit about those afterwards. But I can't believe I managed to finish knitting an entire tee during a holiday. I do believe it's because we had to drive to a lot of places and it took a lot of time to drive to those places, so I actually had a lot of time to knit. And yeah, because of that I didn't bring any sewing thread to sew in my buttons, and so that is why I can't do that until I go back home. So yeah, that's the plan. Anyway, let me just show you guys my little haul today. Unfortunately, I didn't manage to buy even a single skein of yarn this trip. I didn't manage to go into any yarn shops, and it is quite unfortunate because the week that we entered Milan, the week that we went to Milan, is the week that all of the yarn shops, it seems, went on holiday. I mean, I realized that Italy goes on holiday in August, and I'm okay with that. The only thing that was a little bit frustrating was that the Google Maps and their website wasn't updated, so I actually spent quite a bit of time, effort and money to take a train, to walk to 2 shops, actually 3. The last one isn't a yarn shop, but I went to 3 of those shops, and only to find out that it was closed for like 2 to 3 weeks. So honestly, I'm okay if the yarn shops were closed, because I totally get it. It's a holiday, it's fine. I didn't come to Italy specifically to buy yarn, so it's okay if I don't get any yarn. The only thing that was a little bit annoying for me was that it wasn't transparent on the website or on Google Maps. So, you know, it could have saved me some time and effort, and I could have had better use of my time had they been more reliable with their timings. But anyway, it is what it is. I didn't get any yarn, but let me show you guys some of my other hauls that I got. The first thing I got was actually, I'm super excited about, it is this pair of earrings. I do like to buy earrings whenever I go overseas, and it is so beautiful. I got this from Lake Como, and I always just like to buy special earrings, so this is how it looks like. It is so cute. So apparently it's the stone of Florence, and no two kinds are exactly the same. So this is how they look like. Super pretty, I think, on my ears. I do like a special earring souvenir from the places that I visit. So that's what I got from Lake Como, and I think it will be well worn. And the next thing I got was this cute cup. I would say two of my weak spots are earrings and cups. I always like to buy those whenever I go overseas as a souvenir. So this is my other cup. Matches my dress really well. So this is how it looks like. Apparently it is Bridgerton inspired. Over here. And then I got some makeup from Kiko. I won't show all to you guys. I don't know if you guys are interested, but this is how it looks like. The two that I'll show you though, super exciting, is, oh wait, no, not this, is this one over here. Let me show you guys this one first. It's a special engraving service that you can do. So I got one that says Milan, Italy. And then the other one that I got is, and also look at the color, so pretty. It is a base color and then a top coat, 2-in-1. So I think it's super worth it. And then I got another lip product. This one is super cute, and it has the engraving of the Duomo, like that. Super pretty. So that's how it looks like. And the last thing I got was this little magnet over here, just to remember all the good pasta that we had in Italy. So yep, and that's all that I bought today. Unfortunately we couldn't buy yarn, but that's okay. On the bright side, I saved money. And yeah, that's all I have to talk about for my last night in Italy. And I will show you guys the process of me weaving in all of these ends on the plane if I do get to doing them. But otherwise, this is how it looks like, and the next time I will film will be back at home.
This one too.
I finally reached home, and I am not gonna show my face because I'm super tired right now. I have a face mask on, but I'm soaking the knits that I brought with me to Italy, and now I'm going to block my pippa tea. Alright, so I have got my soapy water, and it looks so nice in the sunlight. This is how it looks like. But anyway, this is how my pippa tea looks like. I would say that the stitches are not super even. Definitely less so than the drop spell that I used to knit my T1 and my Sabai top with. So you can see that there's a lot more unevenness in the garment, and also it feels really rustic, really rough. So I'm hoping that will change after blocking. I'm going to block this for 1 hour, and what I'm going to do is also going to agitate the fibers to try to get it to relax a little bit more. I'm hoping that
the garment will really bloom after blocking. Given that it's cotton and linen, I think this is pretty necessary. And then I'm just going to leave it for 1 hour. I'm doing this alone by itself because I'm afraid that the color will run. It has been a couple of days since I blocked my pippa tee, so this is how she looks like all finished blocking. I have kind of laid it flat and so it's kind of crumpled again, but this is how she looks like. I would say soften up much more as compared to before. It is still pretty hard and it's still pretty stiff, but definitely much softer than when I was knitting with it. So now it is finally time to sew my buttons on, and I do not know why, but I've been procrastinating for the past 1.5 weeks. I haven't gotten around to sewing them because I kind of want to do it in one sitting. I have since though demarcated the areas that I'm going to be sewing my needles at. I didn't bring any safety pins with me to Italy, so I couldn't actually demarcate it as I was knitting, but that is something that I would recommend, and that's what the pattern recommended as well. But because I didn't bring it with me to Italy, I didn't honestly think I'll get to this part in Italy, so I didn't bring any safety pins. I only brought the one stitch marker with me, so because of that I kind of have to guess and just estimate for that. And I have my buttons with me. These are pretty cute grey tortoise shell buttons. I'm not sure if it's focusing, but these are just very cute grey tortoise shell buttons that I got from the wool warehouse when I got this yarn, and so I'm really happy with how they kind of pair up together. And I'm talking because I'm procrastinating sewing it once again, so let's begin. Done sewing in my buttons, and this is how they look like. It actually didn't take me all that long. It took me maybe 30 minutes. So let's try this on and I will talk about the statistics as well. Alright, so this is my final top. This is how she looks like. This is the front and this is the side portion. This is the detail that really sold me onto knitting this garment, and this is the back. This is how it looks like. It looks like it fits me quite well on camera, and I would say for the most part it looks pretty acceptable, but I would say that this is the first garment out of my whole summer capsule wardrobe series in which I wasn't super happy the moment I put on this garment. I felt that the fit doesn't really suit me all that well, and I will explain more about that. But before that, let's talk about statistics, because I feel like the statistics of this top kind of tie in really closely with the final fit of the garment and the measurements and things like that. I'll talk a bit about the yarn, the yardage, how long it took on this top, and I will end off with the measurements, and then I'll talk about why I think it doesn't fit me all that well. So the first thing is the yarn. I used the drops Bommelin. This is the light grey mix color, and I think this is a very nice grey. It's a little bit warm because I am a light spring for my color season, so this really suits me really well. I don't really have grey garments in my wardrobe for some reason, so I think that having this grey top will really help to fill up that empty gap in my wardrobe. So for yardage wise, I used 5 balls of this drops Bommelin. It's quite surprising because I bought way too much balls of yarn. I bought 10 and I ended up only needing 5. So I would say this is pretty decent. This top is not too expensive to make. The yardage was 425 meters. Because I do not have an electronic scale, I can't really calculate how much of the yarn I have left, so I just round up to the nearest ball. For my start and end date, I started 1st August, which is when I flew to Italy. I ended 12th August, which is, I think, the day before flying off. So I took just about 11 days to knit the entire top. It took me almost an equal amount of time to get to sewing my buttons. I only sewed in my buttons on 24th August because I wanted to block out my top first, and then I procrastinated sewing them up. So here we are, and a month later from when I first started knitting this top. So the hours spent on this top was 26 hours, 39 minutes. Not too long, because I would say this is a pretty large gauge, used 4mm needles. It is supposed to be a top with negative ease. It is supposed to be cropped. There are only cap sleeves, so it is pretty fast, and therefore the yarn used is also pretty little as well. So my final gauge, basically the gauge that I measured on my top itself, because I do know that a tiny gauge swatch can't really tell the whole picture most of the time, and so I wanted to see if my gauge actually changed for this top. And it actually didn't. I would say my roll gauge changed a little bit, but I was more concerned about the stitch gauge, and I was perfectly on gauge. So my gauge is 20 stitches, 26 rows. My stitch count is perfectly on gauge, but my row count, I believe, is a little bit bigger than what her row gauge is, which is, I believe, 30 rows. So let's talk the fit of this top. I'm not sure if you guys can tell, but with my hands raised, everything looks good. It looks good. It looks like it fits well. But the moment I put down my hands, or I just like kind of slouch a little bit, I'm not sure if you guys can tell, but there's this puffing up that's going on over here. Especially in the back portion, which I do not like at all. I'm just wondering if it's because of the length of the top. So I think 2 reasons why it could be puffing up. The first reason is the length of the top. It ends up just above my belly button, which is actually, if I were to compare it to the reference photo, that's where she ended her top at as well. But for the back, it kind of hits it a little bit, and then when I just kind of slouch, it kind of hits against the waistband and it puffs up like that. You can tell it's pretty loose. This part of the buttons is not doing the work of kind of giving it a tightening effect. It is just an extra piece of fabric that's like kind of not really serving any purpose. There's this much more fabric over here. So this much more. And along my bust, it is quite okay actually. I wouldn't say it's too loose or too tight. It's still a bit loose, a little bit. But for the most part, it is the waist issue. And for context, I knit the smallest size. So I'm just holding my notes here so I don't say anything wrongly, but the final garment is supposed to be, for the circumference, it is supposed to be 74 cm, which for my case, my circumference ended up at 76 cm, which is pretty interesting because my gauge is still exactly the same, so I'm not sure what happened over here, which resulted in an extra 2 cm of circumference. And on top of that, this top is meant to have a negative ease of 5 to 10 cm, and so because of my bust circumference being around 80 cm, so for my bust circumference that is still okay, but for my waist I think it's still a bit big. The designer actually did do a little bit of waist shaping. I followed her decreases all the way through. However, I do think that she could have afforded to do a little bit more decreases, and what's interesting is that after she did the waist decreases, which I assume is to the narrowest point over here, she ended up doing some more increases again to account for the hip shaping. I think I didn't do any of the increases at all that she indicated. I just did like the stockinette. I followed the rate of decreases, I did the amount of decreases that she suggested, but I didn't do the increases back for the hip shaping, and yet it is still a bit loose, so I cannot imagine what would have happened if I actually did do the increases. So I just think that could be scrapped. Secondly, the length of the garment. So the length of the garment is supposed to, for the smaller size of XS, it is supposed to be 48 cm measured from the midpoint of the back all the way down, and my length was 39 cm. I am a pretty petite person. I am 5'1" or 156 cm, so I do like my things cropped, but even so, I do think I had to crop it a lot for what it is, because this top is supposed to come cropped, and yet the final length is pretty long, which is pretty interesting to me. So the final length is 48 cm, and for context, I was comparing this to, and I know it's kind of comparing apples and oranges, but I was comparing it to the sabai top. I'm going to compare it to two different garments. Okay, I ended up talking a little bit more than intended regarding this issue, so my camera kind of cut off along the way. I hope that I don't miss out on anything, because I kind of forgot what I was talking about. But I compared it to the sabai top, and the sabai top is not meant to be cropped. So it kind of, but yet the length of the sabai top and the length of the pippa tee is supposed to be the same. It doesn't really make sense to me. So I compared it to my Darjeeling blouse as well, because that is the top that I actually meant to knit cropped. And so the indicated final length of the cropped version for the Darjeeling blouse is meant to be 39 cm is what I knit for the pippa tee as well, exactly down to length. And it was actually not meant to be on purpose. It was just like I knit it to here and I was like, okay, it's time to stop. It is getting a bit too long for what I wanted it to be, which is cropped. So yeah, I just wonder if the measurements, the final measurements indicated for the pippa tee are just a bit different from the standard sizing, because I compared it to two different designers, two different patterns, one long, one cropped, and the cropped pippa tee is actually the same measurements as the one that's supposed to be long, which is the sabai top. So that just kind of doesn't really make sense to me, and it is a little bit frustrating because yeah, it just didn't really make sense to me as I was following the pattern along. And I think I was kind of disappointed, because this was a top that I was super excited to knit when I first saw the pictures being teased in February, and I got the yarn, I got the buttons back then. I was super excited, ready to get started knitting the moment this pattern came out, and only to have the final result being a little bit different than what I expected it to be. And so I think it's one of those cases where the idea was really great, the design is amazing, but the execution just could be improved a little bit more. I don't really feel like this is my fault, because the gauge is correct. I did my correct size, I already cropped it, I didn't do the increases, and yet it is still loose. It is more of the fact that it is loose because the length is something that is easily modifiable, but if I have to, you know, change the width and the circumference of the top and do the math to account for that, then, you know, it kind of defeats the whole purpose of me buying a pattern, so that I do not have to do the math. I definitely still want to continue wearing this top because I put in effort in it. I still overall do kind of like the look of this top, and I also want to see how this yarn will continue to wear out. Right now it feels still pretty rough on the skin, rough, hard, and a little bit scratchy. So definitely how I'm trying to combat that is every time I wear this top, I'm just going to wash it immediately after a single use, because I'm trying to get it to soften quicker. However, I do know that linen or in general plant-based yarns, they will continue to expand and stretch out. So, you know, with this top being already a bit loose on me, I'm just wondering if I were to continue to wash it and it continues to stretch out, how this top will end up looking. So that's kind of interesting. I'll update you guys on the results and yeah, keep you updated on how this top wears out. But for now, let me show you how I style my top. In styling this top, I do believe this top is a really casual kind of top. Because of that, I decided to play into this really casual, sporty look that this top offers by pairing it with really casual bottoms as well. You can see me wearing this really baggy black jeans, and I think that allows for a really casual look as well. Because of the buttons at the side, if you wanted to, because they're high-waisted, I can unbutton the bottom two buttons to create an even more relaxed look. The only skirt that I'm pairing with this top is also a really casual checkered gingham style skirt. It is loose and flowy to just kind of tie in and contrast with the slightly tighter fit of the pippa tee. And of course, I have to wear some cargo pants with this tee because look at this combination. I think this combination is is where it's at. It is so good. I am obsessed with this combination. And of course, if you really want to go all the way in terms of the casual look, then you could pair it with some cute sort of home shorts. I am wearing this Nike shorts that I actually got from Italy, and it is this really lovely butter yellow color. I love this pair of shorts. I think it is super comfortable, and this pair of shorts with the top and the cap, it is such an elite combo and I love it. If you stick to the end, thank you so much for watching. This is a different kind of video than what I normally post, a sort of project vlog and travel vlog in one. And if you guys like this video, do consider liking and subscribing, and also comment down below what you guys were working on while watching this video. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye!